Welcome, love. Today we'll explore Bhava Sandhi and Bhava Madhya in astrology. Each of the 12 houses has entry, exit, and middle points. Bhava Madhya, the middle, offers more control, while in simple language, like every house has one entry and exit point, and one middle point, like each of the 12 houses in our horoscope has a Sandhi point, an entry and exit point, and a middle point. A person who is at the middle point, right in the center of the house, will have much control, both for good and for bad. A person at the entry or exit of the house who is approaching or has just left cannot contribute as much regardless of desire. Whether the planet does good or bad is unrelated. It will act by its natural significations and its relationship with the house. However, your control of that house is determined by your proximity to the degree of Bhava Madhya of that house. So Bhava Sandhi means where two houses meet, their entry and exit points, and Bhava Madhya means the middle point of the house. This is calculated in several ways. For example, I look at it by equal house distribution. If you understand Shripati or any other method, you can apply it that way too. The planet's control is determined by comparing its degree to the house's degree. For example, if the degree of the ascendant is 27 degrees, this 27 degrees will be placed in every house and it will be the bhava of each house. We will calculate its bhava sandhi by this 27 degrees. Let's understand this concept. Like our house has a center and entry-exit points, like in a horoscope, there is a center point which we call Bhava Madhya, from where planets can actively contribute. Planets that are at the Bhava Sandhi, at the entry or exit, cannot contribute as much. They don't have as much control. A planet's control over a house is seen by comparing its degree to the houses. If the ascendant is 27 degrees, this degree is in every house, representing each bhava. Planets at the center contribute more, while those at the entry or exit have less control. This concept is similar to how our house has a center and entry-exit points. In a horoscope, there is also a center point, which we call Bhava Madhya. From there, planets can actively contribute, while planets at Bhava Sandhi, at the entry or exit, cannot contribute as much. They don't have as much control. So again, Bhava Madhya means the midpoint of the house, which is exactly according to the degree of the ascendant. If the ascendant is at 5 degrees, then 5 degrees will be placed in all parts, and that will be the Bhava Madhya of each house as per equal house distribution. The planets sitting there will produce very foundational results, either for good or for bad. Bhava Sandhi refers to the boundaries of the house where the planets sitting at the start or end of the house have their results slightly diminished. They don't have as much influence. The rising sign is Vandak 56. This means Vandak key indicates a 30-dig house. Here, 0-dig to 30-dig, but rising is Vandak. So Bhava Madhya is here. 15-dig behind and ahead, show house range. Impact of first house starts at 16-dig. Forming its range, up to 16-dig, first house is complete. Combining Aquarius and Capricorn, capture zodiac degrees to understand house range. Planets within define it. E.g., Ketu at 8-dig impacts ascendant as first house goes to 16 degree. Since Bhava Sandhi is 16 degree, planets around it are in a doubtful range. The center point of the house indicates that the 15 degrees behind and the 15 degrees ahead will tell us how our house range is progressing. So, from 16 degrees, the impact of our first house will start, which will define the range of our first house. Up to 16 degrees in this house, our first house will be complete, meaning a part of Aquarius and a part of Capricorn combined will complete our first house. You are capturing the degrees of the zodiac signs to understand the range of your house, and any planets that come within that range will define that house for us. For example, Ketu is at 8 degrees, and we said our first house goes up to 16 degrees, so Ketu is impacting the ascendant. Now, since our Bhava Sandhi degree is 16, it means that any planet sitting around 16 will fall into a doubtful range. Even in the fourth house, we will still need to confirm by asking questions, as Saturn might not be giving a significant impact. With a Bhava Sandhi degree of 16, planets near this degree are doubtful. Saturn at 19 degrees affects the 5th house. Jupiter impacts the 6th house. Venus at 15 degrees won't fully affect its house. Sadness in the fourth house requires verifying. Saturn's minimal impact. Saturn at 19 degrees affects the fifth house. The ascendant is at 1 degree 56 minutes, with Jupiter impacting the sixth. Now, since Saturn is at 19 degrees, most of its impact will be directed towards the fifth house due to equal house distribution. This is because we are talking about the ascendant degree, 1 degree 56 minutes, and Jupiter is very close to the ascendant degree. So Jupiter will completely provide the impact of the sixth house. Similarly, Venus is at 15 degrees, which is approaching our Bhava Sandhi. So Venus won't be able to provide the complete results of the eighth house. In fact, planets like the Sun and Mercury, which are moving out of the range, might be providing more results for the ninth house rather than the eighth house. Now, when we talk about Sandhi, we can adjust plus or minus 3 to 4 degrees here and there, and always confirm with the client what their experiences are saying regarding that planet. The distance can become quite significant. As we mentioned, that 16 degrees is the Sandhi degree, and 24 degrees is the Sun, which indicates that it is unlikely to provide the impact of the eighth house. Let's talk about the chart. In Virgo rising, our rising degree is 27 degrees, which is our Bhava Madhya, the middle point of the house. Now, from there, I need to capture the range of 15 degrees plus and 15 degrees minus. My first house ranges from 12 degrees Virgo to Libra. Ketu impacts this range. With the moon in the 11th house, check its effects. And in that range, again, Ketu is coming in, just like in the previous chart, so it will give its impact. In the range of 12 degrees, since the moon is sitting in the 11th house as the 11th lord, we need to ask if you are getting the results of the moon in the 11th house or not. The fat ascendant is at the exact degree, which means it will be able to provide complete results for the third house. The sun is also around the degree, so it will be able to provide complete results as well. When we see Jupiter at 8 degrees, it will definitely come to our mind that Jupiter is now giving results as the seventh lord in the seventh house, that we are giving the result of 7 lords in the 6 houses. So always counter question for anything when we get stuck between such tricky degrees. One thing that is very important is that when, for example, the ascendant degree is 15 and a planet is placed at 10 degrees in any house, it means that we are approaching the middle degree of that house with the message of time. So the influence of the planet will increase over time, not decrease. On the other hand, if the ascendant degree is 15 and a planet is placed at 17 or 18 degrees, then it is completely impacting. However, their impact will start to decrease over time because they are moving away from the middle degree of the house. However, their impact will start to decrease over time because they are moving away from the middle degree of the house. This is the most important point. See, this concept is not making any planet strong or weak, good or bad. For example, if the ascendant degree is 15 and Mercury is at the beginning and end, it doesn't mean Mercury is weak. It just means Mercury isn't influencing that house. Mercury will still deliver its natural signification and lordship. It simply means that Mercury is not influencing that particular house. Mercury will completely give the impact that it wants to give due to its natural significance and lordship. Like in Aries rising, if our ascendant rising is at 15 degrees and the place where Mercury is placed is at 30 degrees. So this means that I'm saying Mercury is not influencing my first house that much. But I can't say that Mercury, which is the lord of the third and sixth houses, won't perform its significational lordship. It might be that to do its work, it needed to use the resources of the first house, but maybe it's not able to do that. But I can't say that Mercury, which is the lord of the third and sixth houses, won't perform its significational lordship. They might need to use the resources of the first house to do their work, but maybe they are not able to do that. Or whatever Mercury wants to do. He had to use the resources of the first house to do his work, but maybe he is unable to do that. Whatever Mercury wants to do, it will still work with the sun chart and the moon chart. We will still work with the sun chart. These moon charts, the calculations are being done based on the degree of the ascendant. When it comes to the sun chart and the moon chart, the degrees of the moon and the sun are important. The ascendant degree is 27, but the degree of the sun is 5 and the degree of the moon is 10. So when we calculate using the sun chart, we will base our calculations on the degree of the sun. Similarly, we will also give importance to the degree of the moon from the moon chart. Look at this chart. We have Gemini rising at 20 degrees in the ascendant. This means that our range will go from 5 degrees of Gemini to 5 degrees of Cancer. The sun falls within the range. It's placed in that house, but the sun, because we are moving away from 20 degrees. This means the message and of time, their impact will gradually get reduced. The found impact of planets like Jupiter and Venus, which are near the degree, will be felt. So Mercury will fall into that category where I will have to ask questions and get answers about where Mercury is having an impact. But Mercury is still coming within that range that completes our first house. However, Mars and the Moon are moving out of that category. Mercury is still coming within that range that completes our first house, but Mars and the Moon are moving out of that category. So here, the intensity of our questions should be higher. But Mars and the Moon are moving out of that category. So here, the intensity of our questions should be higher. Is the age of Leo giving you results from the Moon's second house, or are they giving results from the ascendant? Let's talk about the chart. Aries rising at 23 degrees. 40 minutes rising in the ascendant. This means that if I calculate the range, considering the houses, the middle is at 23 degrees, forming a range from 8 degrees of Aries to 8 degrees of Taurus. In the same way, the range of all houses will be around 8 degrees. So I need to check if there are any planets around 8 degrees. Jupiter is there. The same Jupiter that is a significator planet for the ascendant. I should be very happy to see it in the ascendant. I should know that it is not completely available for chuk protection. Similarly, the significator planet, which is Saturn, is very close to the degrees of the houses, and so is the moon. So the moon and Saturn will have as much impact on my ascendant as Jupiter cannot provide. Similarly, Mars's impact on that house will be complete because it is exactly matching the degree of the ascendant. It is placed at 23 degrees, and something has indeed happened in their life. The protection that could have been expected from Jupiter has not been received as much. They are placed at 23 degrees, and something has indeed happened in their life. Jupiter has not received as much protection as was expected. Satan has shown his harshness to them. The key point is that even if planets change houses, their signs remain unchanged, maintaining the same impact. The focus is on which house's results they deliver through that sign. When calculating house conjunctions, consider planets within 8 degrees. Be cautious with planets around 1 degree. Only make statements about those close to the house conjunction degrees, as they provide their impact fully. Now, regarding the planets around 1 degree, we have to be a little careful whether we have to pass the statement or not. We need to focus on the planets that are close to the degrees of the house conjunction. We can confidently say that they are providing their impact 100%. Thank you so much